So we like to watch it together?
Yes.
Let's have a look.
Hey, Prince Harry.
Oh, really? Please.
Boom.
What is she like just as Granny?
Really very, very normal.
A new book claims that before the royal trip in 2020, Prince Harry was furious because Queen Elizabeth II wouldn't allow him to discuss his decision to leave the royal family. It seems the connection between him and the Queen was already missing long before Her Majesty's passing. But how is the relationship going with the rest of the family, knowing that the Queen is gone? Does this mean a permanent goodbye for the couple?
This tour itself has been a brief insight as to what she...
Before we explore the details of this dying relationship, hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss the latest news on your favorite stars. According to the book Courtiers, The Hidden Power Behind the Crown by Valentine Lowe, when the Duke of Sussex, then 38, and his wife Meghan Markle, then 36, were spending the December 2019 holidays in Canada, Harry made an effort to have a conversation with his grandmother. A September 25th story on the royal family quoted, "Harry seemed to expect that they could simply smooth things out by email before he and Meghan traveled back to London on January 6, 2020. But they were warned that this was something that should be talked about in depth among family members, not by a simple email. I mean, you just embarrassed a century-old dynasty in front of everybody and you want to fix it by email? Just Harry being Harry." The Invictus Games founder and the Suits actress allegedly were told they couldn't communicate until January 29th. This was received very terribly, the text says. The machinery of the palace and the rest of the family not taking them seriously bolstered the tale. Better Up CIO then made his own separate attempts to connect with Elizabeth, but to no avail. When Lowe tried to contact the Queen, he was given the message that she had become confused about her journals and was no longer reachable. Since this was not the case, Harry was enraged. It seemed that the courtiers had gotten in the way because they'd mistaken Harry's meeting with the Queen for an attempt to kill the monarch. It's a really weird coincidence to mistake a hated grandchild's visit for an attempt to assassinate her, right? It's been said that when Harry was denied an audience with the Queen, he considered heading straight to Sandringham, where his grandmother lives with the rest of the royal family over the holidays. As soon as they got back to the UK, Harry and Meghan, who has a 3-year-old son named Archie and a 15-month-old daughter named Lily, said they wanted to step down from important working royal duties.
"I will always have the utmost respect for my grandmother, my commander-in-chief."
They announced their decision to make a change in 2020, saying in a joint statement, "After many months of contemplation and internal discussions, we've chosen to initiate a shift this year in starting to carve out a progressive new stance inside this institution. While our loyalty to Her Majesty the Queen is unwavering, as senior members of the royal family, we want greater freedom to pursue our own financial interests. Thank you for all of your help over the years. It is really appreciated as it has allowed us to reach this stage and make this transition." An insider told Us Weekly at the time that the couple had not obtained the Queen's official authorization prior to making the news public. The source said that the problem wasn't a lack of concern, but rather a misunderstanding. Last month, at the age of 96, Queen Elizabeth died while on a visit to her Scottish estate, Balmoral. The Telegraph reports that Harry found out about her death just 5 minutes before it became public. Even though Harry was already on his way to Balmoral Castle when the king phoned, the news had already leaked out to the public through Buckingham Palace. A spokeswoman for the 73-year-old king responded to the claim in a rare response to the Daily Mail hours before the Queen's funeral on September 19th. The statement did note the public was only notified after every family member had been informed, but it didn't specify when Harry was given the news. In March 2022, a member of the Sussex family said that Harry would not be going to the memorial service in the UK for his grandfather, Prince Philip. Royal expert Robert Jobson said that it was unfortunate that Harry would not be attending the event because there doesn't seem to be any significant reason why he can't be there, but that he's heading to Holland for the Invictus Games soon thereafter. Jobson thinks that Harry's absence is disrespectful to his family and friends. According to the author of Prince Philip's Century, The Extraordinary Life of the Duke of Edinburgh, despite widespread speculation to the contrary, much of a link does not exist between Charles and Harry. According to Jobson, Harry's planned tell-all may be something that never fixes the rift within the royal family, depending on what Harry says. Before heading to the Invictus Games in the Netherlands in April 2022, Harry and Meghan made a pit stop in England for a visit with the Queen.
British public are very disappointed that Harry and Meghan didn't come over.
The month before Philip's funeral, the couple argued with the UK's Home Office about police protection for potential excursions, and ultimately opted not to return for the service. In June 2022, the Sussexes brought their children, Archie and Lilibet, with them to England for the Platinum Jubilee festivities for Queen Elizabeth II. The opening event of the four-day celebration, Trooping the Colour, was a parade commemorating the Queen's historic 70 years as Queen. For the May parade, Queen Elizabeth II was to be joined on the balcony of Buckingham Palace only by those members of the royal family who are presently undertaking official public tasks. Instead of going outside, the group congregated in the Major General's office, which looks out over the grounds. Since the Duke had already announced his decision to quit as a Duke in March of 2020, he was also not wearing his usual military uniform. After returning to the United Kingdom, Meghan said that Harry had been wounded by their decision to leave the royal family, particularly his friendship with Charles. In an interview with The Cut in August of 2022, Harry pulled the following quote, "I lost my dad in this process." And then Meghan went on to say, "It doesn't have to be the same for him as it was for me if they choose not to follow in my father Thomas Markle's footsteps." Harry also remembered his grandmother on the Archewell website after her death, writing, "In loving memories of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, 1926 to 2022. There is a monarch who still loves both of them though, and he's not from the UK, he's from Spain. Harry and Meghan have the love of the King of Spain." While Harry and Meghan are busy setting up their new life in another country, the Queen said, "I want to tell them how much I admire them." According to a source close to the royal family, William had intended for his brother and Meghan to join him and Kate in welcoming mourners outside Windsor Castle, following the Queen's death in September of 2022. The source said William requested Harry and Meghan to join them. They were delayed because of the many preparations that needed to be made before their arrival. Harry addressed his fans for the first time after his grandmother's passing and used the opportunity to talk about her loss. "Apart from her, Windsor's a lonely place today," he said. "All of the rooms seemed like they were filled with her presence." On September 13th, 2022, Harry was there at Buckingham Palace to receive the Queen's coffin. The burial service was held the next day in Westminster Hall, and he led the procession of mourners. At the last vigil, Prince Andrew was able to wear his uniform, but at first, the Duke of Sussex wasn't able to do the same. Because his decade of military service is not decided by the uniform he wears, and we humbly ask that the attention remains on the life and legacy of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Harry will wear a mourning suit to festivities honoring his grandmother. He made a statement via his then spokesperson. There was enough of a fuss for Harry to wear his uniform to the last vigil on September 17th. He wore a mourning suit at the state funeral 2 days later when both went to the funeral with his family and took part in the funeral procession. Glamour reported on March 5th that Meghan had spent one of her final days as a senior member of the British royal family wrapping up loose ends, such as meeting with academics from throughout England. Her last goodbye was given to royal journalist Omid Scobie, with whom she'd been standing when she finished. As her final words to her interviewer, she said, "It might have been different." The veteran royal reporter said that Meghan came out of the meeting exhausted and extremely upset and vulnerable. Even more, Omid said as soon as she heard that news, she knew the palace could no longer be her place of work as a member of the royal family. When this occurs, it's clear that they were more than just an incompatible duo. The institution as a whole had let down a new patient in this instance. One common problem he has seen is the disillusionment of women who marry into the royal family only to be left battered and scarred when their marriages end. According to some opinions, the main problem is the treatment of women and foreigners within the royal family. Harry made a comparison that will live on in the minds of every royal member. He was concerned that he and Meghan Markle and their 20-month-old son Archie would repeat history as Princess Diana's accident before the Oprah interview that made headlines as the biggest royal scandal in several centuries.
He didn't want him to be a prince or a princess, and that he wasn't going to receive security.
In a public address, not long after Charles became king, he spoke to Harry and Meghan. He said, "Today, I also want to convey my admiration for Harry and Meghan as they settle into their new home in a different nation." King Charles reportedly has a soft spot for Harry and Meghan, but Prince William was the most enraged by their decision to step down from their responsibilities as a royal family. Is this relationship irreparable, or will King Charles III find a way to reconcile the divisive couple? Tell us what you think in the comments, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this.